as you mentioned earlier, you lived in France, Canada, China, in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
How those experience changed your perspective or character or personality, something?
Okay, so no, there's few changes. To be fair, I realized that I changed when I went back to France. Each time I go back to France, I feel like I recognize myself less and less into French culture.
Oh, wow, interesting.
I'm still French, and there's still a lot of like French attributes I have, aspects, right? But there's also each time I live somewhere, I took some pieces of those cultures and assimilated them,
Wow, interesting.
integrated to them to my identity in a way. So Canada was one thing, but that was more minor in a way.
Minor?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't change that much because Canada is very close to France. It's
and
more
also Montreal, right? Montreal,
Montreal.
Quebec, so that's why.
Also, yeah. So
there are also French-based country.
Actually, the culture is a bit different.
Yeah.
It's actually more Nordic. When you study a big culture, like a cultural study there, you know that Quebec and Canada usually is actually more similar to Nordic culture in Europe than French. Definitely.
Oh.
It's a bit more consensus-based, but more social. I'm not going to say socialist, but like the social structure is different than in France. It's very informal, more flat, way flatter compared to France.
Okay.
So more Nordic. Anyway, so a bit that I became way more casual and way more like this kind of Nordic mindset, I would say, when I was slightly when I was there. Then when I went to China, I think that's when I changed the most, I think. I became way more assertive. With my own goals and my the way I was doing things. When I do something, I was really more ambitious, I would say. I became, especially when I was
more ambitious.
Yeah, a bit more, because when I went to Tsinghua, I was around very, very ambitious people, and originally I wasn't.
One of prestigious universities.
It's one of the top. It's a top one, top two, tied with Beijing University. Anyway,
so you're graduate from Tsinghua.
Yeah, I am.
So
anyway, so there is like that did change quite a bit. It's hard to pinpoint what, but I don't know.
It was difficult. It was difficult to study there because too ambitious.
The people are very hardworking here. So it's hard to compete, but it's very interesting.
But it was fun to you.
Definitely one of the best experiences and most transformative experiences I've had. Different. That changed so many things for me. So very grateful to that. Then Korea. I still don't know exactly what changed, but I still feel like
you didn't change it.
I don't know. I feel like in Korea I realized I came down a little bit from the Chinese changes I had. Well, realized how important it is to have a balanced lifestyle, because I feel like Korea is totally the opposite of that, and in the total extreme. People work too much.
True. Too toxic work culture.
Maybe not toxic, but a very intense work culture. So I changed. I realized actually I do like having the autonomy and flexibility to, even though I can work a lot, to still do what I want. Right.
So then, you live in Korea like 3 years, right? What's the good point and bad point in terms of living in Korea?
That the rest sounded very cliche.
Cliche?
Yeah, stereotypical. It's very convenient here. Not as convenient as China. Still very convenient. Administrations is a bit of a pain. Quite a bit of a pain, but it moves forward. Like once you get all the documents, it usually gets done. That's not the case in France.
France is super long, right?
France is very long. You don't know.
Why so
It's
long?
like maybe you have all your documents, but maybe they're just gonna lose your file or something. It's terrible. Here is like, okay, you get your documents, it's gonna get done. It's fine, and usually gets done fairly quickly, so that's good. But people, I feel like, especially for administrative processes, it's quite rigid. It's hard to go around the rules or find a way to do things if it doesn't fall into exactly the framework that you are given, which is not the case in China. You always find a you always find a way to do things. So that's a bit of a difference.
China is more flexible, you mean?
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
It depends on your relationship and how,
Relationship with the citizen?
And the person as well. Usually, there's always a way around problems, I feel, in China.
Okay, but you told me before, like China is more open culture. You feel like?
On some aspects, maybe, yeah. Yeah.
So,
okay, you just expand a bit on that.
Yeah.
If we talk about Confucianism, even though it originated from China, it's barely there anymore. So the whole like social hierarchy, it's so much less. It's so much weaker compared to Korea.
Korea and Japan.
Yeah, Korea, Japan, exactly. So whether that's at work or in the family, it still exists, but it's so much for me it's way more bearable than in Korea, and that in that way I find it's a bit
but
more open.
Yeah. Okay, so so then you lived in China, Canada, and Korea. So like 11 years, during 11 years. So then you maybe have a relationship with another, right? Maybe no, just you're single all the time.
No, all the time.
Because you're a computer, right? So you don't have
Exactly.
you don't need to girlfriend.
Exactly. I sustain by myself.
But what's the difference according to the culture? Of course, the mostly important thing is the romantic partner. But even though like that, some culture aspect is different in terms of dating culture, right? Just you don't feel
it's
like
really hard to compare because you're not comparing culture. I feel you're not comparing culture, you're comparing individuals. Even though they might come from different cultures, it's hard to compare cultures that way. Maybe in dating cultures, French. Okay, let's talk about anecdotes.
It's my interest.
It's okay.
Tell me in detail.
No, not in details. One thing, for example, French, like you don't really ask. You don't ask people out to say. You don't say, "Oh, do you want to be my girlfriend?" or whatever. It's very
cheesy.
Yeah, that's very cheesy for me to do that. But I know in Korea you have to make it clear at some point.
Yeah.
In France, it's very. I mean, from my experience, it's very more subtle, right? It's like at some point you know that you are exclusives, or like you know you are you might want to make it clear at some point, but like I never did it before, and that was very informal, and then we said we're girlfriend. It was just like it was very casual, casual in the way it progressed. Whereas here you have to say, oh,
your girlfriend and my
we
girlfriend.
Are at this status. You agree? Yes. Okay.
And then next stage.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the case in France.
Like a contract.
Yeah, not contract. Sure. I feel in France it's not like that. It's might sometimes, but from my experience, no.
But so then French relationship, how could they notice they're in the relationship?
That's just how it progressed. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe it changed from my time because it was a while ago, but like
but they don't need to confirmation.
Yeah, just once you say I love you or whatever, and then they say sure, and you both reciprocate the feelings, or like this kind of thing. That's usually enough to.
Really?
Yeah, if you hang out a lot, you might want to make it clear at some point, but
that is similar to some, you know some?
Huh?
Some.
Some
tada, you don't know some tada?
No, I don't.
Before just dating, but not real firm relationship. That before stage, before real relationship
Yeah.
stage. But I personally I prefer clear thing.
You're Korean this time.
That's right. But according to my personality, I love clear thing. Anyway.
Sure.
So.
You're right. No, what I was saying. I think it's just the relationship progress more naturally and without necessarily having to be extremely clear about what you say, and yeah. Also, we're more confrontational, so we will argue. Whereas I feel in Asia in general, China, Korea, people don't like arguing that much. That might be a problem, to be honest, in communication, because then people are less willing to communicate about their bottom lines, their boundaries, whatever else, like what they have on their mind. I don't think like having a big confrontation is healthy, right? You have to be very clear-minded and very calm. But like at the same time, people are not shy in France, or like in Western countries, I would say in general, are a bit less shy about like confronting the other person and just saying, okay, that's not how we should be doing. So yeah, that creates a lot of insecurities, I would say, here. So you might keep something in your mind and just keeps on building up until like you bottle it up and then explodes at some point. That's my feeling. You just I'm not a very confrontational person, but I think I try to communicate well my feelings and my likes and dislikes, and that's important. Yeah.
Okay. But it's different a bit, right?
A bit, sure.
So, where is your favorite place in Seoul?
I don't have any favorite place.
Why?
It just depends on my mood.
Depending on your mood. Now.
Amping.
Amping.
Because the guy, it's maybe not the coffee, but the guy
Amping.
is
Check
the best guy ever.
Yeah, I know him. Sinchon area, right? I put the infos below the YouTube for promotion for his show.
Maybe I got free coffee there. Maybe
free coffee, right? But the host, the guy, is a really kind and very interesting guy, right? He was the guitarist, maybe.
He's a guitarist.
Yeah, guitarist, yeah, and also special barista, right?
Yeah. He's certified or whatever. He did some championships.
That atmosphere really. Really friendly, even though very small. But I feel like, anyway. So, okay.